Our plan has 4 pivotal parts: addressing the root causes, rebuilding and building safe, legal, and orderly pathways for migrants to apply for relief under our laws without having to take the perilous journey north. Improving security, management, processing, and other measures at our border. And attacking the smugglers. We've done a great deal, and we need to do more. We are doing it with our partners throughout the federal government in an all-of-government effort directed by our president, and we are partnering with law enforcement, community-based organizations, and many others. Let me speak of the actions that we have taken, or at least some of the actions that we have taken in each part of our plan. First, in addressing the root causes, the effort that our Vice President is leading. On her trip to Guatemala, Vice President Harris announced that USAID and the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation will provide up to $48 million in U.S. government resources to advance the economic security opportunity in Guatemala. On July 29th, the U.S. government launched our strategy to address the root causes of migration in Central America, which guides our whole-of-government effort to improve the security, governance, human rights, and economic conditions in the region. USAID already has launched a series of new initiatives to promote good governance and expand opportunities that will enable the people of El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras to build better futures in their home countries. This includes the region-wide $5 million regional challenge to advance gender equality. In Honduras, nearly $24 million to expand employment opportunities and promote civic and election participation and integrity. In El Salvador, nearly $12 million to help small businesses recover from the impact of COVID, as well as new multi-year solicitations for up to $115 million to address crime and violence, including gender-based violence, and provide opportunities to youth and others. In Guatemala, more than $19 million to strengthen anti-corruption efforts. These are but a few of the examples of the efforts that are already underway to address the root causes of irregular migration. Let me speak about what we have done and what we have underway to build safe, legal, and orderly pathways so that people do not need to take the perilous journey north. On June 10th, the U.S. government announced more than $57 million in funds to support urgent humanitarian needs of vulnerable refugees and migrants in Central America. The Department of State opened the first Migration Resource Center in Guatemala to provide individuals with protection screening and referrals to asylum, refugee resettlement, and parole options. And I had the privilege and opportunity to visit the Migrant Resource Center in Guatemala last month. The President issued a new fiscal year 2021 presidential determination on refugees that created 5,000 slots for refugees from Latin America and the Caribbean. On March 10th, our department, the Department of Homeland Security and State, reopened the Central American Minors, or CAM, program to reunite children who are nationals of El Salvador, Guatemala, or Honduras with their parents in the United States. On June 15th, we announced the expansion of the Central American Minors program. That was a program that was working and that President Trump dismantled. DHS set aside 6,000 H-2B visas for temporary non-agricultural workers for nationals from Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala. On July 29th, last week, the U.S. government, we launched the Collaborative Migration Management Strategy, the first of its kind, to strengthen cooperative efforts to manage safe, orderly, and humane migration in North and Central America. We are also, as I mentioned, improving processing at the southern border, and implementing other measures, not only to stop recidivism, but to tackle the challenge in other ways, including to strengthen enforcement. We have deployed additional personnel to the southern border. We have increased lateral flights of migrants to address capacity constraints in Mexico. Our expulsion flights are now increasingly moving into the interior of Mexico, so recidivism is not as easy. We are doing so in collaboration with Mexico. We are prosecuting individuals who've been previously removed from the United States because they have unsuccessfully made a claim for relief under our laws. We are undertaking expedited removal proceedings. Under our law, we have in certain circumstances the ability and the capacity to accomplish the removal of individuals who do not qualify to remain in the United States, to do so more expeditiously, and we are using those authorities. In partnership with the Department of Justice, we are proceeding in accelerated fashion with immigration court proceedings to deliver justice more rapidly without compromising due process. We are working with Mexico to increase interdictions. I visited Mexico with other officials in the administration but 2 days ago to speak about how we can more effectively partner together and what more they can do in the context of our overall relationship as close partners. We have increased our law enforcement operations in partnership with the Mexican authorities. I met again with the Attorney General of Mexico, as well as north of the border here in the United States, in an all-of-government effort, working in task forces both within the Department of Homeland Security and with our partners in the Federal Bureau of Investigation, in the Drug Enforcement Administration, and other law enforcement agencies across the federal enterprise. We are prepared to do more as the situation warrants. It is critical that intending migrants understand clearly that they will be turned back if they enter the United States illegally and do not have a basis for relief under our laws. We are also, at the same time, developing and implementing foundational changes to the system, addressing problems that have existed for many, many years but have never been solved. In the coming days, our department will announce that we are making changes and improvements to how we process asylum claims. We continue to rebuild our immigration system to ensure fairness and promote equity. We are expanding the virtual platform that we used so successfully to assist the migrants in Camp Matamoros, which was intolerable conditions. We are using that virtual platform where migrants could register using their phones, and we were working with and are continuing to work with and will increasingly work with community-based organizations in Mexico, international relief organizations like the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, like UNICEF, like the International Organization for Migration, to bring in individuals in a safe, orderly, and humane way when, in fact, they make a claim for relief under United States law that the law recognizes. We are also, of course, addressing the detention conditions here in the United States. And, of course, I think you're all aware of the measures we've taken in that regard, and we will continue to take the measures that the situation warrants. As I mentioned earlier, the COVID-19 pandemic presents a unique and significant challenge. We are seeing an increase in positivity rate among the migrant population. We built an architecture to test and isolate the migrants who make a legal claim for asylum. With respect to unaccompanied children, they are tested and cohorted on intake before we move them as rapidly as possible to the shelter of Health and Human Services. With respect to families, we continue to operate centers where families are tested and isolated as needed. We are working and have established a system with non-governmental organizations in the communities to test and isolate family members as the situation warrants. And as I mentioned earlier, the predominant majority of single adults are expelled rapidly from the Border Patrol. Now, of course, the Delta variant makes the situation more difficult. Our capacity to test, isolate, and quarantine the vulnerable population that makes a legal claim for asylum is stretched. The rate of positivity among the migrants is at or lower than the rates in our local border communities. As has been expressed by the medical professionals, this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. We are building new capacity to address the situation, and we are doing so as rapidly as possible. The extent of the challenge should not be understated, but nor should our ability to meet it, thanks to our workforce, our expertise, our plans, and our execution of those plans. Our mission is to protect the American public and to administer the laws of our nation. Consistent with that, our efforts will uphold our laws and will uphold our values. That includes the laws of humanitarian relief as well as the laws of enforcement. We will work relentlessly to thwart illegal immigration and to adjudicate asylum claims fairly and efficiently. Both are embedded in the law, and we are committed to upholding both. As we work to meet these long-standing challenges, we do not turn our backs on our values, our principles, our humanity, and our proudest traditions.